What's going on, everybody? Josh Callaway here with AllSooners, and alongside by John Hoover, Ryan Chapman at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, where Oklahoma's losing streak runs to 3 games, and it somehow got even worse than last week in Fort Worth. The Sooners get, I don't know, shellacked, crushed, dominated, whatever word you want to put on it, 49-0 by Texas today. The biggest shutout loss in program history happened on this field today. The Sooners are 3-3. They have no answers. Where do you guys want to? It was a disaster again. We'll start offense. Dylan Gabriel warmed up today, teased fans. People thinking, oh my gosh, is he actually going to play? He didn't. They go to Davis Bevel, and it did not go well.
It did not go well at all. 6 of 12 passing for 38 yards. 38 yards passing is what the Oklahoma 39 total as a team. Because there were some bad throws in between all the stuff that Davis Bevel did. Listen, they did what they could. And this is what we talked about, throughout the week. I have a radio show. I talked numerous times on my radio show about, hey, you got to run the Wildcat. We joked about Braden Willis running the Wildcat. He got a question 2 weeks ago about running the Wildcat. He's actually a good Wildcat quarterback. They were so limited today. They were unable to do what Jeff Lebby wants to do, which is run tempo and throw deep balls. And you couldn't do that. You run the Wildcat. Braden Willis got some turns. Jalil Farouk got some turns. Eric Gray got some turns. And it actually was pretty good. It actually worked pretty good, but they couldn't sustain those drives, and that's something that I think Jeff Lebby has a great regret about today.
Yeah, a lot of questions about the play calling and just the philosophy. Oklahoma basically came into this game, and after one drive, the coaching staff said, we have no faith in the quarterbacks. There's no faith at all. General Booty didn't even ever look close. Guys, he didn't even have his helmet on in the huddle, not engaged. Nick Evers was the sacrificial lamb in the fourth quarter.
Right, yeah, it was over.
Yeah, Brent Venables was asked about it, and he's like, well, we repped all the quarterbacks, and so Booty and Evers must not be close to what Bevel is. But even inside the Wildcat, there were mistakes. If you're going to throw a Wildcat pass, why is Eric Gray, not Braden Willis, the guy to throw that pass? It was a ballooning interception on the second drive of the game, which was the first Wildcat drive. You've got a 3rd and 2 and a 4th and 2 in the red zone after you'd already blown your fake field goal. Rolled that out, got the first down, and Davis Bevel on the read option on 3rd down looked like if he had handed it to Eric Gray, it would have been a first down. Why you didn't go Wildcat on the 4th down just to say we're going to get the extra blocker in, or if you're going to throw a pass, that 4th and 2 was where maybe the Braden Willis pop pass to Daniel Parker. I don't understand. So even within you found the adjustment, the play calling was really bad on the Wildcat, and this is a massive, massive failure by Jeff Lebby from preparing a backup quarterback all the way to where you, against your rival in your biggest game of the year, got shut out on this field.
Yeah, I mean,
the Wildcat was working, and then they got away from it. They put Bevel back in and tried to do some other stuff. It's a disaster.
Yeah, I try not to. I don't know. I'm not a football coach. Brent Venables, Jeff Lebby, these guys know a lot more about football than I do by leaps and bounds. But it is inexplicable to me to not try a different quarterback in the second half. We've had plenty of Davis Bevel data at that point. It wasn't working. It didn't work the entire TCU second half and into the first half last week. It hadn't worked at all in the first half today. Why not? What do you have to lose to try something else? It was still 28-0. Like, you might have a shot to get back in it. Things get crazy. The bolts start flying in this stadium in this game, and they just gave up, essentially, to me by not trying something else. Hard to wrap your brain around.
Well, the backdrop of that as well is, at the time of this recording, Oklahoma State and Texas Tech are still playing, but Texas Tech has a 3rd-string quarterback who was the backup for the last couple of weeks, it was 34-31 when we hit record, Oklahoma State. So a backup quarterback in Stillwater put 31 points on the board. Today, Kansas almost came roaring back with a backup quarterback after Jalen Daniels got hurt at the end of the first half, and Oklahoma doesn't have a second quarterback that can run the offense.
They do have some Wildcat guys, though.
Yes,
it's staggering. It's staggering.
And Dylan Gabriel wouldn't have made the difference today. Not the way the defense was playing, not the way the Texas was playing. Give a lot of credit to Texas.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been 49-0, but so much has got to change. It's more than just the quarterback. It definitely is, but crazy stuff. Hard to wrap your brain around what we saw on this field today. Other side of the ball, not much better, obviously. I will say marginally better, I guess. I mean, you can't do much worse than scoring 0 for an offense. Defensively, it's just not there. The tackling continues to be not good, and Texas, they got no pass rush at all. Quentin Ewers was just chilling back there. He even was able to scramble out and make things happen. Bijan Robinson was running at will. This defense is absolutely lost as well.
Bijan had 130 yards rushing, and Quinn Ewers looks like the next great Texas quarterback to me. Escapes the pocket. He missed a few throws, there's no doubt, and he had a really bad interception. It was a total bust on his part. But he escapes the pocket with fluidity and ease and instinct and natural ability, and then he throws a perfectly nuanced pass to a receiver on the sideline, tiptoeing between two defensive backs. That was as good as it gets. So he had a great game, I thought. 4 touchdown passes. The Worthy had a big game. Whittington had a big game. You put all those things together. Jatavian Sanders had 2 touchdowns. Put all those things together. And Brent Venables was most agitated, I think, by the fact that last week's TCU game, 4 long touchdowns. This week, 4 long touchdown drives.
Yeah.
Totally different MO by the opponent, and they took care of both times. The opponent took care of the Oklahoma defense. Receivers running open. Receivers running wide open between the zones. I mean, again, give Texas credit. Give Steve Sarkisian a lot of credit. He's a hell of an offensive mind.
Well, Steve Sarkisian pantsed Brent Venables as far as the offense versus defense, that play caller matchup. If you just think the first and second touchdown drives for Texas, there were 3 or 4 plays, it felt like, total between those two, where it's like, yeah, that scheme was so much better offensively. Like, it was as easy as you like for Texas and what they wanted to do, but also the 3-man front, totally ineffective. Oklahoma finally waved the white flag mid to late third quarter. For Oklahoma's sake, hopefully that's the last you see of that. They do not have the horses, height, weight, width, any of that to run a 3-man front, much less the talent. But again, in this game, when you have a Wildcat offense, basically, Oklahoma needed to step up and make plays early. The first Texas scoring drive, Woody Washington dives, has an interception, can't wrangle it in. Those little things are not going Oklahoma's way right now, and maybe you give the ball at midfield and then Oklahoma's Wildcat offense goes down there. Maybe if you go up 7-0, Quinn Ewers, the redshirt freshman making his 3rd start, freaks out, but not with as little pressure as Oklahoma had today. It was absurd how easy Texas, Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson, whoever, just ran all over Oklahoma.
Yeah, no sacks, 0 sacks, again, 4 tackles for loss. The 3-man front has got to go for Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks, you could talk yourself into kind of that Adrian Martinez, Max Duggan, these guys can move. Quinn Ewers is not, he's not Kyler Murray out here by any stretch. And yeah, he was evading pressure. It was just hanging out back there, throwing around the backyard. It was way too easy for Texas, like Ryan was saying, all afternoon long. So we look ahead. Kansas comes in next week. Now, they did lose finally. Jalen Daniels, their stud quarterback, got hurt. Don't know what his status is going to be going into that game. How does it get better for Oklahoma? Where do they go? This is 3 losses in a row for the first time since '98. Back-to-back losses of over 30 points for the first time ever, which is insane. How does it get better? Where does it turn around?
311 games, is that what that's the statistic?
311 straight games without getting shut out. The 9th longest streak of not getting shut out in the history of college football. Those records date all the way back to 1869. Oklahoma, the 9th longest streak, snapped today.
Yeah, where do they go, Josh? I mean, you asked the question.
I don't know.
I asked Brent Venables, how not how close are you? How far away was today an indicator of how far away you are from being that program? He said, no, I have a perspective. He's been on the good side of some of these beatdowns right here on this field. Today he was on the bad side. He said, I've got perspective on that. I've had my share, but he's looking for answers. Him, Jeff Lebby, Ted Roof, the players, everybody really but Dylan Gabriel shares blame in this thing today.
Yeah, first time a Brent Venables defense has ever given up 40 points back-to-back games was K-State and TCU. That streak extends. Maybe an act of God against Kansas, like Brent Venables' name dropped this last week at the press conference. That might be what Oklahoma's hoping for.
We'll see what happens. Right when you think Oklahoma's hit rock bottom, they got lower, and then they got lower again. It's gotten worse each week, and you're wondering, when is this team going to respond? I don't know. We'll find out if maybe next Saturday is when that happens.
They have responded. We've seen what this team's response is.
That's the response.
Yeah. So 3 losses in a row. Kansas comes in next weekend. Normally, that's the one that you could circle saying, hey, that's our get-right game, not this year. Kansas is a good team. We'll see if Jalen Daniels plays, but nevertheless, I think Kansas might be a road favorite in Norman next weekend, which is pretty unreal. Jayhawks and the Sooners next Saturday back in Norman. What's that crowd going to be like? Who knows? It's weird times for Oklahoma right now. The worst OU team we've seen in quite a while, and it's got to turn around fast if this team's even going to get to bowl eligibility as we get into the back half of the season. So that's it for now. AllSooners.com, the place to be. Full reaction from Brent Venables, some players, Jeff Levy there as well. Of course, game stories from these guys, some game highlights if you're into that for some reason. And of course, the game podcast will be coming up. Our full expounded thoughts on this game. We'll dive into every angle of it, more so than we were able to do here on the Postgame podcast. So keep an eye out for that as well on AllSooners.com. That's it for now. We'll see you next Saturday back in Norman as the Sooners try to end this losing streak. For Ryan Chapman and John Hoover, I'm Josh Callaway.